Hello, beautiful people. You are listening to the Communal Table Podcast, part of Food and Wine Pro. My guests today are Ellen Yin of High Street Hospitality and Gia Vecchio of Foxglove Communications. And they sprang into action recently for a very sad reason. A member of Fork Restaurant, part of High Street Hospitality, overdosed in the wake of COVID-19, and it laid bare to them, a problem that's been going on in the industry for a really long time. It doesn't get talked about enough. The addiction and mental health issues that are rampant in the industry. It's something that I have talked about a lot and tried to advocate for resources for the past few years. So I'm always so incredibly grateful when people really step up and take action to save this industry and the people in it, this industry and the people we all love. And what they have done is start a series of webinars. They partnered with a Better Life Therapy in Philadelphia to offer these classes that are specifically tailored to people in hospitality. They are free. They are on Mondays at noon Eastern time, and anyone can RSVP and join. And they are being donated by Better Life Therapy and High Street Hospitality and Foxglove. They are also requesting donations from people. So we'll get into that and talk about how to communicate with your team, your staff, and the people around you during this unprecedented time. Gia Vecchio and Ellen Yin, I am really grateful to be talking to you today, and I'm sorry about the circumstances about which we are talking, but you've taken a really tragic experience, and you are using it to fuel you to do something really positive. Can we talk about these mental health webinars that you're setting up and what fueled you to do that?
Right. So the past month has just been a whirlwind, and it's been so up and down. It all started when obviously the coronavirus, COVID-19 started impacting our business, and we started seeing cancellations at the beginning of March, and people started canceling, and then the government basically requested all non-essential businesses to close. And they made an exception, obviously, for restaurants who were doing takeout and delivery, but it would not allow 90 employees at Fork and High Street on Market to continue being employed. And so we had to make a very difficult decision on Sunday evening, the 15th, to lay off our entire staff. And throughout our group, we laid off about 150 people.
That had to be really painful.
It was, because some of these people have been employed for 10 to 15 years, and some maybe not as long, but nonetheless, it's a scary proposition for many people, who maybe haven't been in any kind of economic difficulty to know what to expect, and or have heard rumors that they're not going to get paid for X number of weeks because unemployment is notorious for not paying immediately, and it takes time. And imagine when 16 million people are on unemployment, it's a very scary proposition. And, it was extremely sad. I normally don't get choked up when I'm talking to the staff, but even for me, they could see that it was such a difficult decision, and, something that I had never in 23 years of being in business come across.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, no one was prepared for this. I don't care what size and scope you are. No business was built to withstand this.
Exactly. So, we did opt to try takeout and delivery in High Street, which, High Street had been doing that type of business on a small scale, but we came back and gave it a day and started basically rolling out our lunchtime and pizza and pasta program on Wednesday afternoon. And I believe it was Saturday afternoon that our general manager of Fork was standing in the hallway just looking white as a sheet. And I was just like, what's going on, Ed? And he's just like, one of our teammates passed away. And um, they think it might be from a drug overdose.
Oh God. This is one of the, if you're in the industry, you know this, but people outside the industry don't know how rampant this is. And I mean, I can, say, because of all the work that I do with dealing with mental health in restaurants, that this happens so frequently, and it's not talked about for various reasons. And to anybody who works in restaurants knows somebody who, has either died of overdose or taken their own life, or something. And it is, a pandemic of its own in the industry. And for that to come on the heels of this had to be especially painful and shocking.
No, it was extremely shocking, because this was a person who, from the outside, I would have never guessed had any history of having any sort of drug abuse or substance abuse, drinking problem. I felt, well, wow, I really didn't know this person very well, and there were no signs that that person um, that this was intentional, or it could have been accidental, recreational, whatever. But it did come out after the fact that he did have a history of challenges with addiction. And I just felt that there are probably so many people out there who you don't know from just talking to them, even, spending as much time that we spend at work, that you don't know what they're thinking on the inside.
I mean, you and
A
I
lot of people, yeah.
Well, you and I have talked about mental health before, and you've always been such a great and, positive voice for, people in the industry. And, as somebody who deals with mental health issues myself, I can say that, if I am in public and I'm dealing with people, usually they wouldn't be able to tell unless I told them, because, I feel like I have to extend all this extra effort to seem okay, because I don't want to put the
Hmm.
burden on anyone else. And also, by the time I've made it out of the house, I've gotten past some of the worst. But yeah, it's really true. People are so good at hiding it for a million different reasons,
Hmm.
and it is heartbreaking, and I'm seeing it a lot right now in the mental health groups that I'm in, especially online, where there are a lot of people who either are working at, diminished hours, and they're not working at all. And there's this sense of hopelessness right now, because we don't know when this is going to come to an end or what it's going to look like after. So it's,
Hmm.
this is the hidden toll right now of
Hmm.
this.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's talk about what you decided. First of all, how you talked to the staff and how you manage a team during something when there's already the weight of everything that's going on. How do you talk to them about it?
Well, the first thing that I did was I did send out a note on our employee communication platform to let people know that this had happened, and that I was going to follow up with the family to find out if what we could do to support them. And in the meantime, Gia is a great friend and advisor to me, and we were talking about what had happened, and just trying to think of what could be done, and obviously wanting to respect the family's wishes. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, after talking to his mother, I waited a little bit. I didn't want to bombard them, but I waited a few days, and I called his mother up, and I expressed the condolences of our entire team. And, it had come up that maybe there was something, uh, you know, besides just raising money, that could benefit other people, because we know that there are probably many people out there in our industry who, are feeling anxiety, depressed, not knowing how to handle the situation. And the last thing we want them to do is feel unsupported.
Right. And how did you arrive and yeah, Gia, jump in anytime. Like how did you arrive at this being the way to go about it? And could you talk about the structure of what this is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Ellen said, we're chatting extensively about what we can do and what we thought was needed right now, and we've been blown away by how many relief initiatives there are, whether that's feeding hospitality members or immediate relief from a financial standpoint. But we were shook by this and thought how many people that are our colleagues, our friends that might need support right now and not have it. And as somebody who's had anxiety for years and has always felt really fortunate to be able to afford that $100 to $150 a session once a week. That's unfortunately a luxury right now, and definitely not one that was maybe accessible before this pandemic, and is definitely
Right.
not accessible during this pandemic. So we thought it might be a nice tribute to our colleague if we can find a way to make some mental health resources available for free for everybody. So we partnered with a local therapy office in Philadelphia, but they're making these workshops available nationwide every Monday for the next 4 Mondays. So starting April 27th will be the next one. They're always at noon. And you can sign up online. It's done via Zoom. They're different webinars, but what we really wanted was to partner with somebody who understood the restaurant industry and could kind of tailor the topics to them. Not that we necessarily have topics that are exclusive to us. Some of them are financial stress, the idea of substance use and abuse, but kind of like you and Ellen were saying, issues that maybe we see a lot more of in our line of work and in our industry. So they really worked with us to kind of custom tailor what those topics would be. So if it's relationships, what does it look like when you're a hospitality couple and both people are laid off or furloughed? Or if it's substance use and abuse, what does that look like as it specifically pertains to restaurants and bars right now? So we're very fortunate that they partnered with us for that. So that's a 5-week session series. And then separately, the GoFundMe page that Ellen mentioned, we're accepting donations. Anybody who wants to donate can, and all of those funds go into a pool so that this therapy office can offer pro bono private sessions to anybody who needs it.
I mean, this is something that, I'm so impressed and proud that you jumped into action right away. But all of this points to the systemic issues, like within restaurants where people don't have, mental health coverage, or even, people have gotten much better about discussing it, but it's still a really, really huge problem. And with all of this is going on with, COVID-19, it's laying bare so many things that we have, just accepted, this leaky boat that the industry has been in for years and years and years. And I keep thinking, well, okay, maybe I was and mix my metaphors, because also I was thinking building forward, shaky basement and stuff. But I keep thinking that, okay, it was built on such a shaky foundation in the first place, the whole restaurant world. And it's just how everybody's been, operating for such a long time. And I wonder if moving forward, some of the lessons that we are learning now are going to be part of a stable foundation that really takes care of the workers, in the future of whatever restaurants are going to be. Do you see this kind of effort being included moving forward in whatever this looks like on the other side?
Well, as a longtime restaurateur that came from the healthcare industry, I think
Mm-hmm.
that I've always felt that healthcare was something that was really important to be offering. And, we've offered a healthcare program to our employees from 1998 on. We still
Wow.
offer a Blue Cross Blue Shield as a benefit. But, obviously we're a small restaurant group and we
Mm-hmm.
can't afford to subsidize the entire thing. But I do think that now is the time for all of us in our industry to look and see, not just, we're all at the rock bottom.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an
Yeah.
opportunity to reinvent the business model, and, to be open to how we're going to move forward from here, because the restaurant industry isn't going to look the same as it does right now. And trying to figure out how to make all that work because, we all want, obviously, great ingredients. We want great hospitality. So we have to build a very positive culture. And, that's all part of, I think, some of the things that we can be looking at, making sure that the folks that we're bringing on feel a part of our mission. Admittedly, it's been a very difficult few years because the restaurant industry has grown so much. And the competition for employees, in addition to, all the other challenges of operating a business, rent, cost of goods sold, and all those things, it's very hard to, um, uh, you know, um, recruit and retain employees. And, these are things that we can really look at. The clear cut benefits are, healthcare benefits, obviously paid time off, retirement planning. I think that that's something that has not really been talked about. We have a 401k plan, but like, how do we get more people to value that and want to participate? Because basically it's free money. We match a certain percentage and you save money on taxes. So, that's something that really helps employees. But beyond that, creating a caring organization and one where the employees feel really vested in the mission of the organization, I think is the real challenge of how we recreate what we're going to be doing. And with probably less restaurants, I think that it will be very important for all restaurant organizations to be able to articulate their mission very clearly so that they can attract the right type of people, not just the mission, but the culture of their organization, as well as their mission.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been thinking so much, observing how people have been communicating throughout this, and especially how leaders are communicating to their staffs, and seeing, wild variation in this. I'm seeing some places that are still, even if they're shut down for service or whatever, they still have virtual lineups. They still are, having just clear communication from the leaders. And I've seen some where people just really feel like they're tossed out to the wind. Maybe they've been furloughed and there's been nothing, no communication from the top. And I've seen like really, and I think like, well, when things come back a little bit more online, I definitely know which businesses, I think employees are going to want to work for because they've been treated like human beings throughout this whole thing. Do you feel like this is going to change how, staff meetings happen, how people communicate with their employees? Or is there going to, I guess, basically, is there going to be more communication and empathy in the industry as a whole moving forward from this?
Well, personally, I hope so. It has to come from the top, obviously. We're not doing virtual lineups. I think that's a great idea, but I feel every day I try to reach out to one or two people, that I might not have been talking to as closely as I should have been, but really targeting and making sure that that I am in touch with people and that they know that they can be back in touch with me as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a strange time for communication during this because we're all doing it, virtually. It's, depending on, I know it's a state by state kind of thing, but I'm almost on like Zoom call overload at this point. And I actually walked by a colleague's house over the weekend and, socially distantly dropped off a pasta maker for her, and just seeing her face from, some feet away was such a beautiful, like really beautiful thing. Restaurants are such a people business that I'm so interested to see how this is, going to manifest, because we're all just relying on, on voices, sometimes on faces over screens right now. And that's not how people in restaurants operate usually.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, because the old fashioned, that's why I don't use Zoom to like communicate with them, because the old fashioned way is either in person, on the phone, or some sort of personal connection with people. And although email is great, sometimes it doesn't express the right sentiment.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I'm in a hurry and I blast something out and maybe it didn't have as much feeling or whatever that I had hoped it to be. But, I think that when you call somebody up on the phone and you show that you're actually listening, I think that is probably the biggest thing that I hope will change is, and I can do a better job of it too. I've been extremely busy the past few years, and taking that time to listen to what people are saying versus being distracted by, whatever else I'm being distracted by. But, you know, um, I know I could definitely do a better job at, listening. And that was the thing with this colleague of ours, was that I felt maybe I didn't do a good enough job of really digging into, like, really understand this person. They worked with us for about, 6 to 8 months. So I didn't really know him that well, but, um, you know, it's something now I'm going to be paying much more careful attention to.
Yeah. I mean, I think any of us who has been through a loss of someone we know, whether it's, a suicide, an OD, or something like that, there's the endless asking of yourself, like, what could I have done differently? And I mean, I've come around to that, of course it's case by case by case. And for the most part, we've all done our best. And, you can never really guess what is going on with somebody. And all we can do is sort of proactively moving forward, just try to let people know that we are, approachable, to not be afraid to have a difficult conversation and ask people how they're doing. But that, some of that, like going over every single conversation and stuff, like it's not, the most productive thing for your own well-being and mental health to do that. And I know that's a struggle for all of us who are people who are fixers and want to just, go ahead and fix everybody. It's a struggle.
I think one of the beautiful things coming out of this, though, and at least in my instance, I'm finding a lot of people checking in on each other that they normally wouldn't have checked in on as much, to see, hey, how are you doing? Are you working from home? What's happening? And what can I do for you? And I think that there's a lot more of checking in on that friend who maybe needs it than we might have thought to do pre-pandemic. So I think hopefully that's something that we can take out of this. And I think the other piece of it is like having some kind of traditions right now, having some semblance of normalcy. And both Ellen and I are part of the Independent Restaurant Coalitions. We get on the call every day. And recently, they've started closing every call with kind of like a pre-shift message. And I thought that was really sweet and meaningful, to just hold on to something every day that is part of a tradition, in a way that we've lost so many right now, that any that you can hold on to feel that much more special.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good, maintaining those connections, and also like checking in on those people who, a thing that I've learned over the years is to check in on people sometimes, like via text or whatever, to say like, no need to respond if you don't have the energy, but I'm thinking about you. And that's been a really good thing, because otherwise, like, I'm a person who, I start to feel guilty if I haven't gotten back to somebody, and then it, sort of builds up. But if that was, built in, it's a really beautiful thing. I also do want to shout out, crisis text line, which is free 24/7. And people can text 741-741, and there's a crisis counselor who is there, and they've heard it all. I've been one of these counselors. We have heard it all, and there's no shame in it. And it's for getting people past, a point of crisis where, there's potential harm, and it gets them over to the other side and gets them resources. And how can people access the resources that you've set up? Where do they go for that?
Absolutely. So I'll jump in here. There is a registration page. You go to abetterlifetherapy.com/mental-health-workshop-series.
Yeah, and we'll include the links to all of this as well. But I want to hear from each one of you. What are you doing to take care of yourself right now?
I have to admit that I'm
Yeah.
working really, really, really hard. I think that my normal routine at the end of every night is to have dinner with, Wayne, my significant other, and we continue to do that. And now we expanded it to the team who's, at the restaurant at the time. So we all basically have a family dinner at the end of the night, have a glass of wine together, which normally I don't do, but given the circumstance that we all need to kind of unwind and kind of relax, just doing that. And then, being honest, I normally I'm always in a hurry and I'm always Ubering, but now I'm walking and just getting that fresh air and, a few minutes of of silence, even if it's walking home at nighttime.
Yeah, I love that. I've been walking my dog late at night a lot.
I would also argue that Ellen, working really hard is how she takes care of herself, and she's being really humble, but she's been part of Fuel the Fight, and feeding a lot of frontline workers, like 500 plus meals a day. So I think in some small ways, as somebody, and I'm going to speak on her behalf because she's too humble to do it, but I think as a restaurateur, being able to still feed people right now and to help this group, which like they're so incredibly brave and they deserve so much more than any of us can give. But I think that probably feels like a little bit of self-care. But on this end, I mean, I'm hiking a lot, but I also have to give a shout out to edX. If nobody's heard of it, it's EDX. And it's a bunch of free classes that you can get from Harvard, Princeton, a number of other like universities right now just offering free coursework. And as somebody who consumes news and media nonstop for work, but of course more so with a pandemic, it's so anxiety inducing. So sometimes my partner and I will just take 45 minutes and do a class in justice from Harvard or something else just to make sure that we're keeping our minds sharp and not staying totally consumed by the news cycle right now.
That sounds fun.
I think that's such a good thing. We're all going to come out of here with like degrees in something.
You have to pay for that. The free version doesn't give you the degree.
Honorary, a virtual degree or something. But I'm so grateful to have both of you in the world. Like as soon as I had gotten Gia's text about this, I knew that it was something that I wanted to give airtime to, so people know it's available. And we'll get this episode up really quickly and include the links to all of it. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time and being part of this. And I can't wait to whatever the rebuilding is going to look like. I'm grateful that you two are going to be part of it.
Thanks, Kat.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you've been doing. I just have to say, like that mental health page on Food and Wine Pro, if people haven't seen it, they absolutely need to check it out, because I've heard a lot of friends, clients, and just people in the industry tell me that they've circulated it to their whole teams on their Slack channels or over email or wherever else, and that they found that to be really comprehensive. So thanks for doing the hard work for us.
Thank you so much to our guests today, Gia Vecchio and Ellen Yin. It's really vital, these kind of conversations. And I hope many people can participate in this mental health series for the hospitality industry. We'll include all of the links in the write-up around this, but you can go to A Better Life Therapy and find out more there. And also have conversations with the people around you. I know it's so incredibly tough for people right now, whether you're a person who has been deemed essential and are working, or if you have been laid off or furloughed and you're at home and you're so used to living a life of service, and you can't do that right now. It can be so isolating and taxing and challenging in a way that none of us really could have anticipated. And if you're already a person who is dealing with mental health issues and issues of addiction, it can be really overwhelming. But I have to say, there are other people going through this as well, and all you have to do is reach out a hand and let them know. I was talking with a friend over the weekend. I gave her a necklace last year. I've given a few of these to people in the service industry, and it's based on a London bus sign, and it's from this company called Taddy Divine, and it says "not in service." And I gave it to a few friends of mine who are in hospitality, sort of as a reminder to sometimes you can turn it off and you can just be a person and and take some time instead of taking care of everybody else. But especially in times like this, for people who really energize and and they fuel their brain, their heart, their body, their spirit, not to mention their wallet by offering service. This is a, especially difficult time if you feel like you're just stuck. I mean, you're doing your part, you're staying home, you're keeping everybody safe, but it can be a really challenging time right now. And I just keep telling people that you have to remember you are still that chef, that cook, that dishwasher, that server, that bartender, that person who works in the back office. You are still that thing. And when this industry comes back, and I have to believe it will, and I don't know what form it's going to take, but it will come back, there will be a role for you in it. And as there will be for so many people who are having to figure out, who am I right now? Who maybe people who have always overly identified with work. I know how that feels. And all of a sudden, you're not in that position anymore. You are still a person of value. There's still people out here who care very, very much about you and want to know how you're doing. So please sign up for these webinars. They are specifically calibrated to be for those, wonky, wonderful service industry brains and all the concerns that people in the industry have. You can, as I said, always reach out to Crisis Text Line at 741-741, and you can join the Chefs with Issues Facebook page, and we will always listen to you. We don't always have all the answers, but we are there to listen. And this is part of Food and Wine Pro, as I mentioned up top. This is Food and Wine Pro is really special to me. We launched it in March of 2019, and it's articles and conversations and events when we're allowed to have them again, talking about the issues that really pertain to what people in the industry are going through. It's professional advice, it's emotional counsel, it is looking into the financial ramifications of everything that is going on, and you can find that at foodandwine.com/FWPro, and you can also sign up for the Food and Wine Pro newsletter that comes out every week, written by our editor-in-chief, Hunter Lewis, and backed up by me and by our associate restaurant editor Osset Babur. We get together the most essential news and sort of winnow it down so you don't have to go looking all over the place for it. It's got words of wisdom from Hunter and other people in the industry, as well as our incredible certified meditation instructor / test kitchen associate, Kelsey Youngman, who she offers the same words of wisdom that she does at our Monday all hands meeting every week. So, I'm so grateful to be working amongst people who really care. And, I hope you can see from this that we really, really care about you as well. And I also want to thank our incredible podcast team, Jennifer Martnick and Hallie Tarpley, we're all working from home right now, and they are doing an incredible job of sharing all of this with the world, and to our marvelous photo director, Sarah Crowder, who makes this all look really, really good. And it's just, I'm thinking about all of you. And I know it's so tough out there. I know it's scary, but you're not in it alone. I'm pretty easy to find on social. Twitter at Kitten with a Whip, Instagram, Kat Kinsman. Heck, I'm going to toss in my email address, kat.kinsman@foodandwine.com. Send me a note and let me know how you're doing. We also have a guide to mental health resources up on the Food and Wine Pro page, and I'll share the link for that as well. Most importantly, while you're taking care of all the people around you, don't forget to take good care of yourself. Until the next time.